good year, and so he's going down to the equipment dealer and buying all kinds of stuff. The farm board and the farm corporation only buys equipment when they really need it.
Really need it, yeah.
And they justify it to the farm
Who makes
board.
that decision? Is it the board approves the equipment purchases
Yeah.
regardless of what it is?
Yeah.
Well, bigger ones.
Bigger ones, you know, I mean,
Over what amount?
oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, if we buy a piece of big equipment, sometimes in the middle of the season, like if we have an irrigation motor go down, you know, that's kind of a no-brainer. You gotta have that.
Well, you bought a combine and a sprayer this year, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
$100,000 $1 million.
Well, it wasn't, I don't think.
Almost.
But anyway, those.
Right, if you hadn't bought that, my point is, how much more would the council have received?
Those payments on those pieces of equipment are cheaper than what we were paying for custom spraying or custom harvesting.
Where do we find that out? I mean,
Well, if you look, and we did that at the May meeting, and I don't know if we have that, we can get that, I don't know if Lee has that with him here. But our down payment on those pieces of equipment last year, I can't remember, it was either the same or a little bit less than what we were paying. And now this year, when we go to make our yearly installment, like for our combine and all the harvesting equipment, we're gonna be $10 to $12 an acre cheaper than hiring the custom. And I think with our down payments, and we can get that for you, I mean, with our down payments, we were the same or a little cheaper than what we were paying for custom harvesting.
so the last audit I have, Lee, is 17, 18, and 19, I think that you sent me. Are there 20 and 21?
You don't have 20?
You don't have the 20 on it?
Did you get out at the farm board?
Was you at the May meeting, Randy?
No, I
Oh,
didn't go to the May.
Yeah, I gave one out. Well, I think, did all of you end up with one? I mailed a couple.
yeah,
Yeah, they were in our boxes.
yeah, everybody should have got a box.
And then I sent a box down and had enough for everybody
Yeah.
else. But
Yeah, everybody
So the
should,
20 is out there.
yes.
yes,
20 is
and we'll
done.
get you one, Randy, if you wanna
Okay,
stop
we'll
You can
by.
have this one.
Okay.
We'll make
Then
sure.
what's your fiscal year? When does that end?
November 30.
So for instance, on the harvesting, so in 2019, it was $400,000 custom harvest. Last year, it was $197,000. And the payments on those pieces of equipment, the grain carts, the headers, the head trailers, the combine, all of that was less than $200,000. So the farm ended up actually saving money by Lucky Seven's employment. It's Lucky Seven's employees out
Yeah,
there
we're
running that
running it,
equipment. And it saved the farm money.
That's
By
the only
buying that
reason we bought
equipment.
it, was to save expenses for the tribe. That's
Yeah.
the only reason we bought that.
It's easier for Lucky Seven to hire it done, you know, to custom it out, but we said that Lucky Seven, I mean, doing that, it saved the farm money, because you don't have to pay as much money for custom harvesting by owning some of the own equipment. Does that make sense?
It gets kind of
I hear what you're
confusing.
saying, yeah.
So it didn't affect the bottom line. Those pieces of
Well, it
equipment.
made it
didn't-
better.
Yeah, it made it better. It didn't
Yeah.
hurt the bottom line, because
Right.
we saved on that expense.
Fred?
It gets a little confusing because, you know, for affecting the profit that goes to the tribe, it'd be depreciation would be a cost, but a negative cost would be, say, the spraying expense. Right, Mike?
Well, the spraying expense was still cheaper than having our co-op spray it.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, it was
You
still
didn't- you
cheaper
didn't
to
have
own
that
the
outlay
sprayer
for
and
cash.
put one of Lucky
And
Seven's
that was the
guys in.
expense that went. So those two things, you know, made they offset each other, and then that affected what went over here. The other side is the cash flow, and cash flow really doesn't affect what the tribe gets. You know, unless it's,
Cash flow, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Unless it's expense.
But from 97, when Lucky Seven started managing this through 2020, the decision was to do custom harvesting and custom spraying, right?
Yep.
And so this year, now you've made the decision.
And here's what happened there, Randy.
But to purchase a combine and a sprayer for about $1 million,
Yeah.
right?
Over the
You're saying
years,
that ultimately that's gonna be a benefit to the council, to the tribe.
financially, yeah. And the reason we went that way, Randy, is over the years, we've expanded the farm twice, more than twice of what it was when we came in 97. And every time we had to add another farm on, we'd have to hire another employee. Now we've got enough people hired. We got people for harvest. When we first came here, we didn't have enough people to run a combine, grain cart, trucks. We've got those people now. So now we looked into a combine, and we can save, those numbers look like about 100,000 or 80,000 or something by Lucky 7 running that equipment and the tribe owning it. So the tribe, if you sold out tomorrow, you gained asset there on top of what we're saving by operating it. And saving on the expense of either spraying or harvesting.
Cause in 5 years, the farm corporation's gonna own that combine, the grain carts, the sprayer. You know, it added a substantial
The
amount of
combine is
assets.
5 years, the rest of it, some of it's paid for. The header trailers,
Yeah.
the grain carts are paid for. The sprayer's a 3-year note, the corn head's 3, but the combine is the one that's 5, but everything else is gonna be paid for, you know, a couple more years. It'll
What
always,
you're saying is then you'd be creating some more jobs at the farm
well,
through those?
not really. We've got enough people now to run all that. You know, that's why
But
we
you won't
looked
need
into
the
doing it.
custom hire, you won't need, or you still need a custom hire for some, but.
Well, for down here we hire
Yeah.
because we don't have one combine
Yeah,
can't
it's gonna
harvest
do it.
all this. And
When
we
they come
ran
in,
hard.
they have what, 3,
We
4?
ran till 10, 11 o'clock every night when we was harvesting last fall. But we ended up getting about half the farm harvested with that one combine that we bought.
And we still only have 4 tribal members working out the farm and ranch combined?
The Londo kid, Peyton, he quit. He went to custom. He followed a combine crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it should be the
Down to-
same. Yeah, same.
Down to 3 then?
Yes.
Kane and who?
Kane and Sage and, who's the young guy that's mowing out here for Darren? Young, might be in high school yet.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We just, there's a young kid out here at the Grass Rope Farm that's mowing and helping out down there.
Oh, Kane, not employed by the farm, but employed by Lucky 7.
AJ pays him personally. AJ subcontracts the ranch labor from Lucky 7. So he could, you know, it's too much to watch for one person, all that. So he does that and he hires his own help. So Kane actually works for AJ. There's Kane and another TR Sterling and AJ, and they run 1,200 cows and 1,000 yearlings, 3 of them.
I might mention that the corporation does not employ anyone. It's all of the employees work for Lucky 7.
That's correct.
The operations are all done through Lucky 7.
You know, looking forward to the new contract coming up, I would like to put a addendum in there that we have a training program to hire our own people. We want our people to not take over, but be employed by the tribe and the farm corporation to learn this. I mean, I think that's only right. They learn how to learn the farming operations. And, you know, you're gonna have some that take to it and have some that don't. But
Right.
the more of our people we get interested in being stewards of our own land, I think the better off we are. That's what I would. I mean,
The farm did offer scholarships at one time, and we couldn't get no takers, so it ended up they would just give directly to higher ed. Then I believe that even isn't happening anymore. But we couldn't get anybody interested in to go to SDSU or, into a farm setting, but,
working with the community college down.
I think that would be a better way to do it.
Internship program, but is there a 2-year agronomy class?
Some kind of some kind of an ag class.
Give a preference at least
Because
to
SDSU is involved.
tribal members.
And I'm sure Dr. Dunn.
Is there 2-year agronomy classes?
I don't know, I guess.
I think there's 4.
Most of them are
nephew.
for.
I got-
Everybody working for the farm minus our tribal members have a agronomy background?
No, no.
But you're talking management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something we can do with the college? You're still on the college board?
I don't see why not. And we could put some feelers out there, see what kind of interest we got. If they could, I think it should start at the high school and, we could,
Do you have like an FFA program in high school or no?
not more.
No, I think they tried to start one last year with Mr. Dijon, if I remember right. He was trying to feel it out, I think he comes.
No interest, Clyde, or what happened, do you think?
I don't know, would have to ask Lance that on that FFA or was it FCL, something like that. I know Billy
Peyton
Dijon.
would have been a good candidate, but, he just followed the money.
He's gonna go to school this fall to be a welder.
No, okay.
I think he's going to,
Mitchell or?
yeah, I believe it is.
Pretty much anymore. I mean, now it's the tractors are all computer aided, guided machines, so you just learning GPS and satellite communications. You have a question, Chris?
Well, like at SDSU, I know they have like the Princess Egg now, and then I'm pretty sure there's some 2-year thing through Mitchell Tech. One of my friends from Chamberlain went to Mitchell Tech, and now she works at some.
They used to have a program for pivots at Mitchell Tech. I don't know if they still do.
Because in reality, you're only working 8-9 months out of the year, right? And you got 3 months of downtime, or those you keep on full time.
We're busy, yeah.
Work on equipment.
Yeah, working on equipment.
Downtime, right?
Hauling corn, I mean, we hauled 700,000 bushels of corn with the tribal truck. Kept 3 of them running pretty hard, about every day. But yeah, the rest of the guys are working on equipment and servicing the pivots and getting ready for another year.
The ranch would have work with cattle and calving and stuff.
You have a question, Big Russ?
No.
If we could back up just a little bit, I'll explain. Is that right, Mr. Chairman? What I gave you there was taking the 4 250s off the 15 million and then taking that times 2. Now this is gross income, net income. Were you looking for net or gross?
The total gross.
Okay, you want to put that on your list?
Because I could imagine it would have been a lot higher than a 28,563.
Oh, yeah.
But one, it was a running total on from 83 to current on the total profit made by the farm corporation since its incorporation, or since 1983 to current.
Okay, the profit would be, the 29 million approximately that I'm coming up with here. But the gross sales, would be considerably more, of course.
Yeah.
And in gross sales, I mean, it shows the volume of the operation, but it doesn't really show the money. I mean, you got all your expenses against that.
But yeah, that's what I mean. The gross sales profit, however you want to name it, it doesn't matter to me, but I know you're more technical than me, but I think that number needs to be shown. How much has our farm made since 1983 to current?
Sure.
Compared to what it's given the tribe, and we're not saying that's not generous. Don't get me wrong, we're thankful for everything.
They gave
that number, is that way we have that comparison to show the cost of labor, equipment, product, everything, insurance, whatever. That way we have that cost comparison analysis to the people.
I would say, that these 250, some of these years, the actual dividend may come out to 200, that they still made some money, but it got rounded up to 250 because they didn't make 250. So it could be higher than this, but about 29,509 for sure was the net profit, the profit after expenses. And of that, 15,754 went directly to the tribe. And, plus these the leases of 33.9 million and, these other transfers.
And I think, in good business faith also that we put it simplistic enough terms for maybe even this council and the people to understand that how much it takes a year just to run the operation.
Yeah.
And then you put inflation cost on that, on your services needed, fuel, fertilizer, seeds, the cost of tractors, needs, repairs, equipment. So then people see that, there is a good cost share coming back to the tribe, but you have to make sure your operations are taken care of and ready to go for the next planting season and stuff, so the people have an understanding of what it takes to run a farm operation. I mean,
And-
I don't expect that to be on all of your shoulders, but this is your profession. You
Yeah.
guys know this stuff better than us. So I think that's,
To clarify,
I would like to see.
to clarify for Lee, what other schedules, what do you have down there, Lee?
Government payments.
Total government payments over the years?
Yep.
Would that all be under government payments, wouldn't it, under something on the
It
income?
won't be a total, but
So I mean,
I'd
you
have to go
could
back.
just find the audit reports and
Yep.
pick it up. But I mean, there'd be nothing else in this government farm program payments, other than just adding that up.
Right.
Okay, so that's pretty easy. And what's the other thing?
Just the gross revenue
Yeah,
since 1983.
sure.
So do you want me to list since 1983? So in 1983, we had this many gross, this is gross income and this is the expenses. Here's the difference, is that?
And the profit percentage that was kicked to the tribe that year, that follows on this sheet.
Sure.
Sure.
So,
And then, you know, it gets complicated because the inventory rolls over from year to year, but I think if you just took gross sales for each year and disregarded the change in inventory, then you basically could do it.
Because it would eventually catch up.
Because it catches up
Yeah.
eventually.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are only the second management company that's ever managed this farm since '83, correct?
Yep.
First one was Tom Hankey.
No, there's been three. Remember, there was a couple years Ralph Wamsher.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Ralph.
And there, him and Jim Londo were managing it. And, that's we got. I believe they got Tom to come back, and then they went into Lucky Seven.
But the current management agreement was entered into in 97, right? And other than some minor amendments, it's continued in the same general parameters since then.
Yes.
And that, we're recommending that that document get rewritten. I mean,
You're recommending what?
well, the lease has had amendments by the farm board, you know, for some changes over the years, but the lease itself should be rewritten, put on somebody's word processor and gotten
At least you mean the management agreement.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just been amended a couple times. This needs to be in one document now. one
That'd be
document.
simpler too.
And I sent you an email, or at least I sent Lee an email, and again, the tribe wants to look at the management agreement and the terms and conditions that are.
Yeah, I don't think I got it, but if you got it to Lee, I will.
What'd you say the other guy's name was, Boyd?
Ralph Wamsher.
Wamsher?
Yeah.
Was it be about 2-3 years?
Ralph W.
Yeah.
I remember, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
put
he
Vaseline on his ears because it gets sunburned.
had a hard time, did he?
Yeah. He had a rough go.
Was that, off the subject real quick here, but was that before the bends were completed and we had gigantic piles of corn on grass ropes over
I
here?
remember I was working out there when they hired a bunch of teenagers to go out there and cut koshie weed with machetes and those bean fields because those heads would get clogged up with that koshie. So they hired about 20 of us teenagers to go out there. We'd take several rows and we'd clean those pivots out of the weeds. And that's probably my first paying job, you know, for the tribe.
Did you like it?
It was all right, you know.
So just to get back, the bylaws, Dennis, you had said would be contingent upon the decision of whether the council would like to head in the direction of a section 17 or to leave it as is, correct?
I think the bylaws have to be changed.
Section 7.
Anyway, even if we went, just rewrote the regular tribal corporation.
Okay.
Is that right, guys?
I tell Land.
And then I have in my notes from meeting a couple of months ago that the farm board would recommend to the council which direction they preferred.
Well, we could. I just mentioned that now. We could do that. But, I mean, it's your decision, but
Yeah.
if we could all agree on which route was the best route,
Hopefully we'll get.
we could do that as a board.
And when is your next meeting?
We usually have a fall meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
September.
August sometime.
August, into
September.
August, yeah.
We haven't set a date yet.
And we could, if you wanted a recommendation from us, we could all individually try to take it on and come up with our thoughts on it and, you know, come up with our recommendation, but it's your decision, you know.
Do you have any more questions, Steph?
No.
Mr. Ickes, you still there?
Dennis?
We lose them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had you on mute. Yes, I'm
Okay,
here.
I know you asked me a question at the farm board meeting in May. You said, have I picked a liaison to work with?
Uh-huh.
What did you mean by that?
Well, we've always had, historically, we've had a liaison who is selected by the tribal council to attend meetings of the board, and be the intermediary, if you want to call it that, or liaison, probably the better word, with the council so that they are aware of what's going on the board meetings. For example, at the last meeting we had, you were there and two other council members were there. And in lieu of the council members having to attend, they would have a non-council, well, it could have a council member as far as that goes, but someone to serve as the eyes and ears on behalf of the council at meetings that we hold.
So is it a problem that council does attend?
Not at all.
No.
No, they're welcome to attend.
Okay, I mean, that's
This is
the,
the,
for the sake of the tribe and the business, I would prefer it to stay that way. I think
Sure.
I probably believe I'm the first chairman to not be on the farm board, but that way, we're, doing things in good faith and good business relationships. And it just, I think it makes for better communication. So if
it's
the
more
board
direct,
has no
that's for sure.
objections, I would love it to stay that way. I mean, that way we're all on the same page or up to date. And
The other thing that used to be Bill Thompson, and I don't know who, but like when we have brandings or when we're harvesting, if, he was sometimes, I think early in his tenure, he would come out and, observe the trucks was going in the bin, the tickets, maybe run the scale house for a day or something like that. Just get a feel of what's going on and how the operation works. But it's always, the brandings, it's chaos, but it'd be nice if one of the council members or if it is a liaison to be there and just observe, what goes on and, the money that's where does the money go that we take out and we give out?
You hire a lot of tribal members for
Not
the
all.
branding.
Yeah, they're about all
It's all
tribal.
tribe.
Cody put on his boots and spurs and get out there. That's
It's,
a,
it's
don't
just an
have to-
observation.
Vaccinator.
He don't have to cowboy, he just needs to be there to
Yeah, just
observe.
somebody to observe.
You've already had your branding, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I had no knowledge of it. So, I think that communication still needs to improve. And then also, how are you working on your onboarding your new board members? Did your new board members know that you were branding?
I didn't line the branding up, that was AJ.
Okay.
So I found out like a day before, for me.
Yeah, but how are you doing on onboarding with your operations, with your farm operations? Are you bringing them into the fold and inviting them for a tour, let's say?
Anytime, I did the last time I was here, I said, anytime somebody wants to have a tour, I'd be glad to.
Yeah.
go
I invited
anytime.
Todd today, he didn't know about it till
What's that?
today's meeting.
Oh,
I mean,
well, yeah, I called you.
Yeah, but you didn't know about the meeting, till I said something today.
Well, I told him that he was on the agenda, but communication is what we want to increase, and we're not seeing that just with this board,
Yeah.
we're seeing that across all boards.
What would be the preferred way to do it?
New members.
Yeah.
How should they do it? How
That's
should
what
Mike?
would be the,
Yeah,
should we,
well, like just inviting them for a tour.
right, should we
Yeah.
notify, like for tours, I'm gonna say right now, it's open, somebody just needs to
Yeah.
get a hold of me.
Well, yeah, you can.
But like for brandings, do we notify one council person and it's up to them, or do you
Usually
want?
calls me or he calls Roland and we.
Usually AJ gets a hold of you, yeah.
Well, it's Lee, I don't think it's hard to just CC all the council when there's a public, something, to happen, so.
No.
Yeah, so.
No.
But I was looking forward to attending the branding because we brand all the time, so it would have been interesting to see one operation over the other.
Right.
So, I think the point here is just to improve communication.
Agree with you 100%, I really do.
If you had it on email, just raise your, everybody has email, right?
Yeah. No, I got my, I thought you emailed me a couple times. Trying to send it to you, or it's MW.Ludeman with 2 N's at Gmail.com.
any other questions, ladies, gentlemen?
I know we brought this up before, but can we get clarification again on the Sacred Hills, on that land? He's explaining it, how took over it and then,
Well, we didn't take over it. It was sent to us, so then they sold, you know, the big acres off it, but there's still two parcels, a 40 and a 20. And through all that transfer, it ended up at the Farm Corporation ended up with one or the other. Do you remember which one it is, Lee?
I think the farm ended up with the 20 acres.
And we'd like to give back, get the rest of it back to you. I think we need to get a letter.
Dennis, are you working on the quick claim?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna get it sent back to you, so it's all cleaned up from here on.
But what happened was, the land was transferred to the corporation because for the debt, which they owed, the tribe owed the corporation. They did some work out there and they sold it at a profit, and the profit just was paid to the tribe again. And I think that's most of this 525,000 shown on this sheet as land for other cash dividends. So, you know, they took it to, and they got rid of it for the tribe other than the remaining amount.
Yeah, we got nothing, Farm Corporation got nothing out of it. We just maybe had a transaction is all that happened.
Yeah,
But through that, there was two parcels and the courthouse out there or something wasn't handled right. But we're in the process now of getting the other parcel back to you. So you'll have 60 acres out there with the Sacred Hills. Then there's a little farmstead out there, a few acres that is being rented.
Barry did a lot of work out there, getting it ready and stuff anyway.
Huh?
Barry Hess did a lot of work out there, getting it ready for the auction.
Well, I don't think he did anything really. Just contacted a realtor and they went out and
I
surveyed
thought he
it out.
did some fencing or something.
No.
Okay.
One other final question,
thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry about that. Do you guys use the old squeaky door for storage?
No.
That I know.
No. No.
And was that Sacred Hills land in trust, or was
No.
it
No.
not eligible?
It should be now, they should, as soon as they get the title squared away.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. I have no further questions at this time.
Did
Thank
you
you.
want,
Yeah, we got a lot of people waiting out there.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you want a quick farm report?
Causing a backup.
Status report or not really?
Sure.
Didn't you have one, Mike?
What's that?
A quick status report?
Oh, just the crops look good. I mean, they really look good. We're starting the combine wheat today, starting that. That'll probably take us 2 weeks or 10 days, I suppose. We got probably 40 to 50% of 2021 crop stuff sold. And currently we're about a $4.36 corn average and $10.70 soybean average. And almost $6, $5.92 on the winter wheat. Popcorn, we're running about, we got a little bit more to price yet, but we're running about 20 cents on that. And, you know, on that popcorn, we kind of normally run about from 14 to 16. So with the high corn prices, the popcorn's been up too. You know, like that corn at 436, you got 50 to 60% left to sell yet, and it's over $5. So that 436 could climb to $5, you know, pretty easy. And the soybeans, the 1070 average, and currently today you could get $12 in some cash beans. So you got 40 or 50% of them to sell yet at $12. I mean, that average could jump to 11. Well, it's almost 11 now. It could be 12 to 12 and a half. So yeah, it looks
All
good.
profit over last year's inventory value.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. Yeah, it's looks like it's headed there. We just got to get yields. That's always the big prices don't mean nothing if you don't get big yields. That's always the key. And we're doing everything we can for that as far as watering and that.
Randy?
One question on the operation of the ranch. I mean, so the livestock are out there. I mean, we know the issue with respect to pastures at this point. Do you have a separate contract with AJS to manage the ranch under
Yes.
Lucky 7,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what's the interrelationship there? Does he have to buy feed from you, or is there, how does that all work?
We just do an accounting, Lee could explain that to you. I mean, it's, well, hay he does, yeah, he'll purchase the hay from us.
He basically gets Lucky Seven's share for doing the work that you guys would have been doing otherwise, right?
For the sales of the cows, yeah.
Right.
We're talking about feed, yeah, the farm puts the hay up, we got the equipment, so then, yeah, whatever amount he needs, he gets first stab at it at market price, and then we sell the rest off.
But it's part of Lower Grove Farms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
But he has to buy hay from you?
Well, it's just to keep the accounting straight so we can track profit.
Not him personally, just.
No, not him
The
personally.
ranch operation.
The ranch operation, it's just so we can track ranch profits and farm profits.
We have a column for ranch,
You know.
we have a column for crops.
It's just an accounting procedure so we can track ranch profits.
So you can affect the profitability of the ranch side by what you charge him on the farm side, right? In theory?
Yep.
In theory, yeah, and it also could affect the farm profit too, you know, if you sell it real cheap and the farm's got all the expenses in it, it's not realizing a profit for the, you know, it's just an accounting thing, you know. In the end, it's still one dividend to the tribe, ranch, farm, but it's just an accounting thing to track so we can see what profitability.
And the hay is, it's expense to the ranch is at fair market value.
Yeah.
I do work paper for the audit, call an independent person that buys and sells hay, and they give me a price. And that's what price per ton goes in for the audit.
Hay is gold this year.
It is gold. You got some?
The other thing I was gonna add on ours, we got 3 pivots of irrigated wheat. And as soon as we get them harvested, we're gonna plant soybeans in them, and we're gonna try and get some more $12 soybeans yet.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
It's good. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and
All right.
safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And tour invitation, one more time,
Thank
just
you, members of the council.
Yep, thank you.
get a hold of Lee or myself, and we'd love to show you guys your farms and ranches.
Yeah. Maybe we should set up a date. If everybody can make it, we'll just,
Or just
Start
one
out
at a
here.
time, it wouldn't matter, I mean, just, what if you,
Time is money, so that if we could go as a group or small groups.
either or, yeah, we'd work with anybody for any number.
Okay, thank you.
It's tough sometimes to get everybody on the same,
Chairman, you going to the LBC then?
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
thanks.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, guys, have a good day.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
6 weeks, sir. Seven. That was a tough month.
So we're out.
A lot of stuff there.
What breeze?
Yeah.
Went to get on a horse.
I know.
No, ACL's there.
Dennis got off, he should be on for his next one, I think.
Yeah. For Dennis back up.
We'll see.
Trying to leave you guys high and dry. What are you doing?
Yeah. Damn, Patrick, that beard's getting longer and longer.
My COVID filter.
Can we hit redial on there? Shit.
I can text him, tell him to go back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just will get started. Shoot.
Thanks for coming down, Mr. Glover.
You're welcome, Chairman, council members.
Good to see you again.
How's it going, Patrick? Oh.
Long story?
No, got on a horse and my knee fell apart. Simple as that. Simple as that. I wish I would have got bucked off, would have been a better story.
Yeah, you should have had a little better side story.
Yeah. Bigger Aflac claim too.
status update for us?
Sure.
Things are going? Until Dennis gets back on the phone.
Things are going about the same, out there trying to generate some business, trying to maximize the business that we have out there. The only difference between the last time I talked to you and now is there's a lot of government grant funds out there, and we are snatching at as much as we can. To date, since the last time we met, we have gotten a grant money for the propane distribution business to study that. That has been received and the study has been done, which I believe you guys have, but I'll go over that as well. We also received a BIA TED-C study, which is essentially a $100,000 grant through the Tribal Energy Development Capacity, if I could speak, which is a grant to explore if we can generate some power on reservation, i.e. mainly natural energy, be it solar or wind or anything like water even. That is just getting ramped up. The study hopefully will find that that's a possibility, and then it'll also explore if it's something that can be marketed both on and off reservation. We have applied for the following and have not heard back, which they're being a little slow in getting back. We have applied for 2 different CDFI financial assistance.
Hey, Dennis, are you back?
I'm back.
All right. Patrick's giving us an update.
We applied for 2 financial assistance grants, both from CDFI, one just a straight CDFI, that is $450,000. The other one is a NACA, CDFI NACA grant one, that's $600,000. We can't win both, but we can win one or the other. We have not heard back on those. We've put in 2 Native American Agricultural Fund grant requests. One would be for sales and marketing of Lower Brule Farms products. That would be mainly for beans, corn, some stuff. What we're really looking for is there a way we can market those products into like government food? So like school lunches, things like that, some of the edible beans that are out there, or if we could do more of that stuff out there. So that's a grant that we're hoping to get. That grant request was just under $195,000. The second Ag Fund grant that we asked for was for a study on whether a regional hemp processing facility would make sense on reservation. Right now, there's quite a bit of distance between processing facilities, and we're kind of in the middle, good enough in the middle that it could make sense. So we've asked for some money to study if that's something that would be feasible, and if so, we would follow through with probably more grant applications to build it. If it's first, we have to win it and get it, and then if we do, that's the plan going forward. That's just under $200,000. And then the Wells Fargo Foundation, in response to the COVID situation, has a Open for Business technical assistance, which is a grant fund for CDFIs or CDEs, LBCDE being one of them, to get grant funds and then to marshal them out to small businesses. So we've applied to that for just under $400,000. Those last ones I just said we have not heard back from. There was a rapid response program, which was a CDFI program again as well. We asked for $200,000 on that. We got denied on the first round of that, but we possibly can go back and get that. So we're working on getting that. And then we're also preparing for submission is a new Native American Business Development Institute grant, which is through the BIA. And that's to explore aquaculture or aquaponics. Think of it like they have just food sources, like your root vegetables grown with just water without needing the land. And then we've also been kind of searching into maybe we could do shrimp farming. So that's also a grant. That one's $45,000. It's not as much, but that's again just to be a feasibility study to spur something down the line. End of the year 2020, we did some restructuring of some lines of credit that were out there. So just historical background, back in 2016, LBCDE received quite a bit of grant money that was to be used for business loans. So what we did, or what the LBCDE did was created some funds for some on-reservation projects that they wanted to look into, some of which didn't go anywhere, and that's why we restructured it. And all that restructuring, all it was an accounting trick to make the books of LBCDE look a little better. We consolidated and cashed out a couple of them. The two that we cashed out there was a small loan fund that we created. We put $50,000 into a fund with the idea of working through tribal council at that time to create kind of like a short-term payday lending for tribal members who are also employees so that they could get like a 2-week loan to make ends meet. The reason it didn't work was somebody was operating a business at that time on reservation, and there was some reluctance to compete at that time. So we
It
decided.
was our own tribal one, the $1,500 ones, them as well as the tribal employee loans.
Yeah, so we didn't want
But that money was available for them to use, but she just didn't use it.
So we scrapped that, put it back into LBCDE for use somewhere else. And then there was also a healthcare fund, was an issue that we were looking at possibly updating the clinic or supplementing the clinic at that time, and that never came through to anything. So we canceled that one. The other one that we did was Lakota Digital. It's LBC Holdings doing business as Lakota Digital. That one we did have a project in, looked at doing some software migration through government contracting. That unfortunately did not work. There was litigation on that. We've since settled that litigation mainly because any judgment that we could have gotten out of that would be pretty much uncollectible. And then we had a couple.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, you said you settled it?
Yes.
So how much was the settlement for?
Settlement was for $5,000.
Oh.
Essentially, cost of litigation, make them pay. That one is in finalizing. The agreement is agreed to in principle, waiting for them to sign it and send the check. Hopefully have that by our LBCD's next quarterly meeting. Businesses that are going on, we have the mortgage down payment assistance program. That has been steadily declining in amount of business since the last time we talked, mainly due to the market and the availability of funds for a lot of people. A lot of people got some free money and didn't need the down payment assistance. So what we have done to try and offset that is with our current vendor that we are working with, we have opened up a second line of business with them, where the first one was the down payment assistance after so many payments that they made, was a gift where it would be just forgiven. Now the vendor is offering it as essentially another type of lending, which will increase their receivables, which will hopefully increase LBC's distributions as part of that business. And then secondly, we have just started kind of opening up discussions with a second lending institution to do a same product. So hopefully that will increase if we can get that ironed out. We have the property management company, that's Pipestone. Their business is also down due to their biggest company merging with another company that does their own in-house property management. So they've lost their biggest customer. We're trying to get them to look more at leveraging not only their preference, but the preference that we as LBC provide to them, whether it be through minority ownership or SBA 8A, to get more government contracts. So we're working with them to get that stuff done. A couple more smaller ones that are just barely in the beginning of stuff. I kind of hit on it before. We're looking at the possibility of doing some shrimp farming. Very beginning of that. We're keeping a monitor on industrial hemp. Hopefully get that grant application in to do that. We are looking at doing some, exploring something with a company called NatSoft Corporation. That is another migrating software, we migrate legacy software into new software kind of stuff, using the platform that we used with the other one that didn't work, hopefully with a more stable, balanced company. And just to back up for a little bit, the explanation on the first one that didn't work, the company that we partnered with had a Air Force contract to migrate legacy software into new software. It was a big contract, and there was issues with the commanding officer or the general that does it, and it became ugly, and it blew up, and that was kind of what the problem was on that one. So it wasn't anything that we did. It wasn't really anything that the other company did. It really came down to the Air Force and some political issues in the middle of that. So we're hoping to take what we have learned on that and then move it into something new. We're also very early in the discussions with a company that has a product that does air cleaning. What it does is it uses ozone to convert your oxygen into pure oxygen. It essentially does is it cleans the air in a room. With COVID and everybody sensitive to germs and everything like that, it's something that they have created as a new product. They're interested in Section 17 and how it works, especially with the taxation stuff and the benefits that Section 17 has with them with contracting, that we're in the initial exploring on that. And then we're always looking for new stuff. Dennis is out there pounding the pavement, hitting the airports, running around. Fundraising, I did. New appointments, Mr. Ness and Mr. Long Turkey were able to participate in the last meeting. So we did do it via teleconference, so I didn't get to meet with them in person, but I've had discussions with them offline. And we are gonna have our next meeting in person so that everybody can kind of meet, get to know each other in person a little bit. I do have one question for you guys. There was 2 other seats that weren't filled. Mr. Langdown and Mr. Moore are sitting in those now as carryovers. Do you intend to appoint 2 new ones for those, or can we tell them that they're for a new three-year term?
I think they would probably go back up to the open seats.
They've been sitting in there as carryover under the LBC operating agreement, but they are still officially open if you guys haven't appointed.
Okay, no, we weren't, I don't think.
Okay.
We've got to those 2 seats yet. So
Yeah, there's 2.
we weren't up when we opened up the other 2, right?
No, they were. There were 4 seats open.
How did we only get 2 then?
I don't know. Because the last time I was here,
And some mix up, because we were only aware of 2 seats open.
we had 3, and then the last time I was here, Mr. McCauley resigned his position at that time.
Okay, so this would have been last fall.
Yes. So there are 2 seats open.
Must have missed a couple somewhere then.
Okay. So just let me know, and if there's anything you need from me, I know last time you guys wanted some, if you want me to refresh the qualification stuff or anything like
Yes,
that,
sir.
I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, so we can get those on the application process, or the job announcement, our board position announcement.
Okay.
There's a lot of business ventures you touched on there, but what other business venture have you guys looked into of actually creating some company or jobs here on the reservation?
That's always the number one priority, is to try and find that. That's a lot of what those feasibility studies are, to see if we can get something on here, on reservation to create more jobs. But really, it's not a lot of things out there. So we're always open to ideas, but we're always trying to think of, what could it be that we could maximize here, given the geographical kind of limitations that are here. I mean, that's really what we're running.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Yeah, I can't hear what he's saying. I don't know if he's speaking or not speaking. I was going to address your question.
Yeah, he's speaking. He just got a soft voice, so maybe he couldn't hear him. But yes, he's speaking and answering questions. I asked him well, you heard my question. What's your reply?
Yeah, I heard your question. I just didn't hear the answer. I was going to comment but I wasn't sure what he said.
I didn't say much, Dennis. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there are a couple that would be the most influential would be the hemp industrial hemp, if we were to process it on the reservation, that would be a good employment opportunity. And then this, what we call the Plasma Guard out of Minneapolis, they're looking for manufacturing facilities. And of course, we have the Opportunity Zone on the reservation that would make a very attractive location. I've been speaking with the president of the company, and they're trying to raise financing. Of course, we don't have the money for financing, but we have attractive conditions. And so I'm trying to see if we can't get a manufacturing facility there, which would be attracted by the Interstate 90 and Sioux Falls Airport, Bay Roads, and that kind of thing. So those are two that would be most likely to produce jobs at the reservation level. Well, we've been focused on income generation, and to date we haven't had a lot of success. We've had success, and then something happens in the economy or whatever, and then things fall off. And had they been consistent, we would have been in very good shape. But they're cyclical with economy adjustments and so on. So we're looking to a couple of things that we hope there will be income, significant income production. Will be opening up a second mortgage financing capability that has a strong financial support. We're working with a company called AmeriFirst, which is a very large mortgage company. I think it has offices in 17 states, and they're qualified, I think, in 50 states. And they're looking at us to run all of their down payment assistance work through it, which would be very, very significant. And I've had one meeting with the general counsel for that company. I have another one coming up on Friday, and I'm crossing my fingers as well as doing my best work, I hope, and presenting them with a very attractive capability. And Section 17 is the attraction that they have, and so I'm gratified that is an attraction. And then as I mentioned, the Plasma Guard would be a good one. So those are the two employment possibilities. Well, then I mentioned the hemp too. Those would be three possibilities for local employment.
Okay.
They've always asked me about a call center. If we could provide a call center, and I said yes, we could. And so that would be another possibility, even for those that are off reservation. For example, the mortgage company as an off reservation business could have on reservation services such as a call center.
And so the corporation is an entity of the tribe,
Correct.
right?
The tribe is,
Owned by the tribe.
tribe is the sole shareholder.
It's owned by the tribe, 100% owned by the tribe.
Okay, so how much profit has come to the tribe in 14 years since you've been incorporated in?
No.
There's no profit sharing?
Well, yeah, I guess it is. 2007 to 2021, it's hard to believe. None. We've been through hell, if I may use that word. Shortly after we were formed, we were able to get a very promising IRS opinion that made us very attractive to affiliate with. And we made an acquisition, and then the IRS arbitrarily decided that they are going to renege on that promise.
Yeah,
caused,
I do remember that, Dennis.
Yeah,
But
and we've been digging out for a long time.
Well,
that time.
I guess what I'm trying to get to then, if you're not profiting, how are you getting board payment stipends to the board members if there's no profit going into?
Well, we have income. It's just the income just hasn't got to the point where we can make a distribution. That's all.
How much do you need for?
There's revenue. Yeah, I was asked that when I was there at the last meeting with the LBC board. And, we were estimating, if we could get ahead at least 250,000, so we would have some reserve to operate the company with some confidence, then I think that we could get beyond that, then we could start making some distributions. It's just been, we started out very well with Pipestone, and then it fell off. We started out very high with the mortgage company, and then it had fallen off, and now it's being revived. Just trying to get that. We need several companies. We need diversity. The mortgage business is down. We hope something else will be up. And we need to rework the whole Pipestone business model, because they knew it was purchased by another company, and their priorities are different than ours. And so that's just the way business is. And so we've got, I think there's 8 projects, 2 of which are income producing, and 6 of them are in progress, and a couple of them could be very significant. I think I heard the reference being made to NatSoft, which we've been working for 2 weeks here on getting a proposal to the IRS in response to a request for information, which usually is preliminary to the agency developing a request for proposal. So we hope that ours is impressive enough to earn that. And then this second mortgage company hopefully will grow into something, although it's several months away, I'm sure, in getting that put together. But there are some promising developments that give us some diversity and sources of revenue.
I got a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to understand the corporation that was put together to benefit the Lower Brule Sioux tribe, correct?
Correct.
How many different companies do we have in this corporation? What I'm seeing is we got a snow removal company?
Correct, Pipestone.
Propane distribution?
The propane distribution company is owned by the tribal government. That's a tribal government entity. LBCDE, which is another one directly below LBC, which is the Community Development Enterprise, obtained a grant to study that program, to study that business for the tribe. And then it came back with recommendations to help it go from a negative business to an actual 13% profitable business. The study essentially said if you take, I have it here. The study said in the past 5 years, the propane distribution program, which is a tribal business, tribally owned business, separate from LBC. It's not under that umbrella. It's carried, in the last 5 years, it's carried $46,000 to $151,000 in bad debt expense, which your general budget has to absorb. The study found, which was again funded through a grant that LBCDE was able to get, the study found that there are 272 households that are eligible for South Dakota's low-income home energy assistance program. If you were to enroll all of those, there would be over $243,000 in annual savings, which would then turn it from a negative 12%, it would save 12% of annual expense, increasing the gross profit to over 13, making it profitable and self-sustaining. So it hasn't created a job, but that's one benefit that LBC has kind of helped with, is showing, getting that feasibility study, going through that, getting that, having it done, and then showing, okay, here's a way that you can save a bunch of money, almost $250,000 for the tribal government. So there are not only just businesses that we're trying to stand up and make income off of to help grow LBC and make a distribution, but we're also helping what is here now and making it more profitable.
Do you guys get into stocks and bonds?
They did before my time where they tried to get to that Wall Street Trading Company, which is what they were trying to dig out from. And then there was whatever the guy was from, I did that report that backed it up even more. So if you remember the last time I was here, I talked about the baseball analogy. That was, I tried to hit a home run a little too early.
Okay.
Focus now is more on singles and doubles.
On this, I don't know if that looks familiar to you, but I got it from the correspondence that you sent the chair. It talks, excuse me, or displays the profits made, excuse me, on a quarterly basis since March 9th of 20. The name of the sheet is LBCD and related companies, cash balances.
Okay.
The last 13 months.
Okay. I don't know if I have that one in front of me.
LBC Holding.
It's near the end.
Company.
It's on this page.
It's after financial. Number 7 under financial reports.
You got yours. Okay, I'm with you, go ahead.
Okay. So that L, go down on the left, go down about 5, except for the heading. Skip down to where it says LBC Holdings Digital.
See ya, yes.
Is that a company?
Yes, that would be the one that I talked about, the software.
Okay, and then healthcare, that's company?
That would have been one that was started up with grant funds to help there that then we canceled out at the end of the year.
And then LBC Corporation.
Correct. That's the top.
Okay, so if you take a look from 3/9, March 9th of 20, we made $1,081 from the LBC Holding Digital Company.
So what I'm looking at says that's the cash balances. So those would have been the balances in the accounts with the grant funds.
Okay.
From 2016 that we would have put in there. That's not indicating any funds.
It doesn't reflect anything?
No,
So even if you go from right to left, starting at 3/9, you go all the way up to March 5th, it went from 1,081 cash balance to 1,061. That doesn't mean anything?
Not that I know.
$20 loss there.
That could have been some account monitoring fees or when we closed the account out, maybe.
Then like a healthcare, it went from 3/9/20, we had 95,105, and in March it had 96,90. But still.
And I have one that goes a little further. It says it's ended at 95,090, which I think is just some banking fees to either close the accounts.
And then what on the promissory note there?
Yes.
Can you explain? Much.
Which one are you looking at? What's the date and the number at the top, the dollar amount?
96,151.
Okay, this was when we took some of those old lines of credit and combined it into one thing. We did two things. We did this one, the 96,151 is the amount that was left in healthcare and holdings. If you add those two numbers together, that's the 96,151. We wrote that as one single promissory note from Lower Brule Corporation borrowing from LBCDE. In a sense, because the entities that got the grant funds were from LBC, under LBC. So LBCDE got grant funds in 2016, opened up lines of credit, deposited the amounts in separate accounts, which was a requirement of the grant, and documented those with a line of credit agreement wherein when the project starts, it would ask for draws, essentially, and then the business would take off, hopefully, whether it be the on-reservation lending or the healthcare facility upgrades. Those didn't take off. So what we did is we made a promissory note. This one was for 96,151, and the reason why we separated this one is we made this payable right away. So LBC paid to LBCDE in April of this year, this 96,151, essentially taking the grant funds that these two entities got and then giving it back to LBCDE. We did it this way for audit purposes. LBCDE is audited, so they have to have paper trails. So then if you keep going in that book, the next one, there's a promissory note for $300,000. And and LBC didn't have the cash to pay that off all at once. So that's gonna be paid and amortized over 10 years, making quarterly payments to LBCDE. And again, it's not, it's like the Lucky Seven guy said before, it's mainly an accounting thing. It's money that LBCDE, grant money that it received and gave to an LBC entity, and now LBC is giving it back. We're paper trailing it for the auditors.
So the limited liability company is the Delaware? What do we mean by that?
So the Lower Brule Community Development Enterprise, when it was started, they started it as a Delaware LLC. Delaware is notoriously pro-business. It's one of their things that they do to generate state income is they have very pro-business statutes. So a lot of people create their entities in Delaware. I don't think it's quite as advantageous as it used to be. And we're going to migrate those back over to South Dakota, or not back over here. They never were here. There's some that were just started there.
And then on the LBCD balance sheet,
Yes,
there's an uncollectible loans of $145,000. What's that all about?
that's that software migration company. And then there's also some Lakota Foods money that LBCDE loaned to try and keep Lakota Foods afloat before it shut down. And those we just wrote off as uncollectible.
It looks like did we make profit out of that Lakota Foods?
No, LBCDE gave money, lent money to Lakota Foods to try and get it through its hard times, and my understanding is Lakota Foods is not operating anymore, and so it was just written off.
That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
So does Lakota Foods owe you $137,500 plus
Correct.
whatever in that 145 that you've written off?
Plus interest. That was never collectible, so.
So that uncollectible amount is going to continue to.
Well, we've written it off now for the accounting purposes, it's been written off, and so.
And so, I'm sorry, you got another?
Go ahead.
So Dennis, you still there?
Yes, I am.
So you're the chairman of the Lower Brule Corporation as well as the Lower Brule Farm Corporation Board or Lower Brule Farm Board? No?
No, I'm not anything at LBC. I'm not an officer, I'm not a director, I'm not a chairman, I'm not anything at LBC. I'm an advisor. I'm a business developer and those kinds of things, but I don't have any official position.
Are you so you're a paid consultant?
Yes.
I'm a consultant, I guess you could say. That's a good word.
Yes, a paid consultant. So who's chairman of the? You're chairman of the corporation. Okay. You guys have chairman, vice chairman, secretary, treasurer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're the chairman. Who's the vice?
Orville.
Red?
Yep. Daryl's the secretary treasurer. Middleton.
I really hope we can find something that, I know, like I said, the business market's tough. 10 years and.
Dennis.
Yes, sir.
Cody Russell here.
Hi.
Yeah, we're starting to understand these businesses all coming together to develop into a corporation to profit our community members in Lower Brule. We've been at it for 14 years. Is there any estimation of time when the community can start seeing some cash flow benefits?
Well, I can certainly estimate it. Probably estimate it first quarter of 2022. We have two significant prospects being developed currently, and I would hope that those would be in production and revenue being produced by the first quarter of 2022.
Okay, thank you.
Patrick, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With the propane feasibility study and the recommendations to lower Brule propane, I mean, is there any indication from Lower Brule Propane that they're implementing those recommendations in terms of South Dakota low energy assistance benefits, or?
Not that I've seen at any of the meetings unless they're talking to some of the LBC council members they've never came back to the meeting that we've had.
I mean, my sense is last time we heard from them, they were $300,000 to $400,000 in uncollectible debt. And you've given them at least a roadmap or a blueprint of how they can reduce that debt and become profitable, right?
Correct. The roadmap was almost $250,000 a year in government assistance payments, meaning you would get guaranteed payments from the state.
And is it the management of Lower Brule Propane that's responsible then for implementing that?
I don't know how you guys operate that. I gave it, I think, to you for tribal council consumption, and then I don't know how that business runs.
Boyd, were you going to say something about that, or?
No, that's just the government portion. It's not private. You know, there's a lot of private individuals that buy propane from them.
Right, yep, yeah.
You know?
But I think what you're getting at, Randy, here is that the same with the farm corporation, with the Lower Brule Corporation, there's a communication piece missing on how the board members can relay that information to the council. Because the hope is that now that we have our tribal manager, that information would get relayed to Shanna, who would then work collaboratively with the propane director. And so we can just maybe improve that as we move forward. Shanna, did you have a question?
First, I wanted a copy of the report with recommendations for propane.
Sure.
I just need a clarification. I'm new. So are you telling me that we have been investing in the Lower Brule Corporation for 14 years, and in that 14 years, the Lower Brule Sioux tribal government has received not 1 cent?
Half correct. My understanding, and I've been on there about 7 years, there is no money coming from Lower Brule Sioux tribe to fund the corporation. But you are correct, there has been no distribution from the corporation to the tribal government.
So you said that there was income, but I'm assuming, does that just pay salaries and?
It does, and to create kind of a cushion to explore business opportunities and use funds to help finance those. Because right now, we have to rely on essentially the non-financial benefits that the Section 17 corporation provides. We cannot invest in any startup business unless we have grant funds, Lbst, or somebody else funds it outside. What we can offer is tax benefits, Section 17 benefits.
So who's profiting from this corporation?
Really nobody.
Dennis Ickes.
Yeah,
Somebody has to be profiting, otherwise it wouldn't exist.
Right, Ickes?
What's your question?
You're the only one profiting that we can tell.
Said you're ripping a tribe off.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
we have consultant fees, legal fees is me.
I won't respond to that.
No, I was just stretching it.
Yeah.
But to me, just by watching all of this go on, I think they need to go to a meeting and learn, because we got a lot of people out there, and this is a council meeting. Yes, you guys need to understand it, but it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in a short period of time, and you're not going to get it all. That's just the way it is.
But John, this is more important for the people to see it.
That's fine.
That's the whole purpose. We didn't have all these years of being on the council to get all this knowledge. That's why I'm sitting here trying to learn what we can from these guys.
Yeah, you're trying to learn from it, but if you go and you learn it better, then you can bring it back, tell them, and they can understand it better.
I totally understand your guys' position. I will say it's not easy to explain how it works to every Joe and Jane on the street. And I'm not disrespecting them, but they're not, not everybody is in business management or business like that, so it's tough to do.
Yeah, because there's other people there that you need to know about.
But what we need to do is to better, and I believe this is helping, is, have semi-annual or quarterly meetings and talk to you guys, and you guys talk to us and tell us what you're looking for, what you'd like to see. And we're gonna keep trying to make it to where we're giving distribution, because I agree that is the best thing that we can do to help any concerns that you guys are getting as council members, is to show, okay, this is working. Maybe you don't understand everything about it. They honestly don't need to understand everything about it, but show that it's a positive. And if I can leave you guys with anything today, is even though LBC hasn't given a distribution, it's creating positive returns for the tribe in other ways. The feasibility study on the propane business being one of them, so.
Patrick, along those lines, there's other business opportunities that the tribe is generally exploring. What would be the mechanism for using Lower Brule Corporation to invest in those that the tribe is exploring?
So anytime that it would be a benefit, so if it's off reservation.
Let's just say it's a business in Chamberlain, let's just say that, and the tribe.
So what LBC provides them is the Section 17 benefits, which are tax benefits, meaning that this is a corporation of a sovereign nation and is not subject to income tax until it's taken off reservation and back, so you can let it roll there without having to pay taxes in it. You get that the extra limited liability because it is a sovereign corporation, that it can't dig into it. You get the protections of being, this can go either way, but you get the protections of being, again, a tribally owned business that is subject to tribal law, not federal law. Keep it on reservation. And it also has preferential treatments. We can set it up so it is a minority-owned business, and it gets preferential treatment in bidding, government contracting, SBA stuff.
Okay. But from a investment opportunity, can Lower Brule Corporation somehow partner or assist the tribe in investing or purchasing a business in Chamberlain?
Yes, by making it that kind of a business and all those benefits, which then spurs private investment, and it also allows you to operate as a tribal entity off of tribal grounds. That's the huge benefit.
So how much does Lower Brule Corporation have to invest, if you will, in a business that the tribe would be interested in?
To be comfortable, $50,000 maybe.
And you know that's not a lot.
But if there's an availability of new market tax credits.
Or grant funds.
Or grant funds, it could be a lot more.
And if you have something in mind, the sooner you let us know, the faster we can try and get out there and look to see if there's different programs that we could qualify for. Because we don't apply for everything, because you have to write a grant, and the grant applications cost money, and there's some that you just aren't going to get because it's limited. But, we don't do every single one that's out there, but we do as much as we can that we think we reasonably have a shot at getting. And there are some that are just, you participate, you get. So right now, because there's a lot of federal money out there.
Further questions, anyone?
No. I might just add one more point on, and maybe Patrick covered it, but I didn't hear it, and that is the separation between the government and the commercial business is important to third parties. Governments, whether state government, federal government, tribal government, county government, they are not equipped nor designed to engage in business. They're designed to take care of governmental needs, the essential services of their citizenry, and so on. Whereas a Section 17 corporation is designed for commercial purposes to deal with the business end of it, and it has more continuity than tribal or state or any other government has. There's turnover with elections and et cetera, whereas a Section 17 corporation is separate and apart from the tribal government as far as its operations are concerned. And that is appealing to those who are doing business with the Section 17.
Okay, so if that's the case, then why were we putting council members on the board that were current council and against council?
Yeah, well, originally it arose out of an acquisition back in 2009, 2010, and there was a combination of council members and private people, and the council lost confidence in the board of directors of that company, and so they assumed that position, and that just seemed to carry on after that. So the policy of the current council, as I understand, is not to have council members on there. So it will open up the opportunity to get, business people on the board of directors. At this point in time, everything is pretty much done by the staff and oversight by the board. And I'll make one more comment too. 14 years is a long time not to have any distributions to the tribe, and we're very much aware of that. The difficulty has always been we've had no money until maybe recently. And the only thing we had to sell basically was the Section 17 unique features that could be appealing, such as the capability to accumulate money inside of a Section 17 without it being subject to tax until there were distributions made to investors or whomever. And always very appealing, and always people say, boy, that's too good to be true. And it's been a difficult sell when you don't have any money. And we have obviously made sales, so to speak, of forming some companies that do generate revenue. But, each one builds on the other. And now that we have some income producing companies to make reference to, we are starting to get additional interest. And like I say, we have 5 or 6 additional projects in the pipeline, which I'm hoping, 2 of them could be very significant. And that's because of the existing businesses that have been around now for a while. Pipestone's been around since 2008 or 9. And the mortgage company's been around since 2018. And so they have seasoning, they have income, and that gives confidence. And so we're able to get more interest in it by using that leverage, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. No further questions?
No.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Chairman, thank you. Enjoyed it very much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Mr. Reinhardt, come up to the table, please. Thank you, Mr. Glover.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that the council formally pass a motion to go executive session to discuss this pending legal matter and personnel issues.
We turned it off for the last one.
We'll see you, Boyd.
You bet.
You weren't
Take
in
care.
executive.
Boyd.
Thanks again
Thank you for coming up.